Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Tuesday, February the 17th, 2026. You're listening to a special holiday edition of the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, Chinese New Year's Day. Transport authorities say people in the country have already made over 3.5 billion trips since the start of the Spring Festival travel rush. Delegations from Iran and the United States have held a second round of indirect talks in Geneva. And Gu Ailing has won a silver medal for China in women's big air at Milano-Cortina 2026. In the second half today, we look at how China strengthened its ice hockey development system in the years since Beijing 2022, building the sport from the grassroots up. And now checking the day's top stories. Tuesday is the first day of the Year of the Horse. Transport authorities estimate that people in China have made more than 3.5 billion trips since the Spring Festival travel rush began early this month. Those included 220 million on Chinese New Year's Eve, marking a 4% rise from last year. This year's 9-day holiday allows people to go on longer trips and spend more time with family. Traditional activities include attending lantern shows, watching dragon and lion dances, and folk performances. Huang Fei has more from Shenzhen.
I'm at the splendid China folk village here in Shenzhen. This folk village is one of China's earliest theme parks. It's all about showcasing traditional Chinese heritage, including art and architecture. And I'm standing in front of the sort of the souvenir section, and on the edge of the arenas, you can hear the trains. You know, it feels like stepping back in time, right? You could ride a mini train, and you could ride a horse-drawn carriage. You could dress in traditional costumes to explore this area. But most importantly, you could actually visit more than 80 miniature versions of China's most famous landmarks. And of course, throughout the day, we have many performances showcasing Chinese culture. Here, we've got a train coming again. There's so much happening here. You could watch shows throughout the day. We just caught one earlier showcasing Cantonese opera, lion dancing, different kinds of acrobatics. Humanoids are part of these synchronized dancing as well, which is, people really enjoying the fact that we're combining traditional culture with, a modern twist. And of course, I came here with a group of American students who are here. Many are here for the first time. They are pickleball players. They're serving as student ambassadors, sort of learning about China and hopefully sharing their experience back home. And, this is a perfect place to learn that. Being Chinese is something that's kind of trending on social media in the West with, many TikTokers in the US and the UK showing off their Chinese habits, drinking hot water in the morning, wearing household slippers, and, picking up Chinese eating habits. But here you can really feel that and see what being Chinese really means. It is not just a hashtag. It's culture, it's music, it's craftsmanship, it's rituals passed down for generations.
That was Huang Fei on introducing Chinese traditions to people from around the world. The Chinese New Year is also welcomed in major cities in other countries. In Moscow, festivities featured lion dances and the opening of a Chinese-style market. In Budapest, a Spring Festival fair offers a wide range of attractions, including cultural displays, food tastings, and interactive experiences. A light show-themed Galloping Steed Onward Unstoppable took place at the world's tallest building in Dubai. Bangkok's Chinatown is staging a lantern exhibition showcasing digitally crafted lanterns, horse-shaped displays, and other installations symbolizing good fortune and happiness. Cultural performances and festivities are also being held in cities in Canada, Costa Rica, Kazakhstan, New Zealand, and the UK. San Francisco carries on the tradition of hosting a massive open-air flower market fair to celebrate Spring Festival, joining other U.S. cities in the festivities. Mark Neal reports from the city's Chinatown.
It's an annual tradition in San Francisco Chinatown that brings together businesses, community activists, and city leaders.
This is a critical make or break month, so we need people to come out and support our small businesses in Chinatown.
Civic and business leaders lead the procession, which is filled with dancers and school children dressed in traditional costumes. Isaac Lavarta is a student at Garfield Elementary and part of their Chinese immersion program. He's marching with his entire family.
I think it's great. I've been trying to learn Chinese, Cantonese for the past 20 years, and having my kids learn Cantonese in school has been amazing, and then getting to take part in all the community events in Chinatown has been really special.
Stretching block after block, San Francisco Chinatown's flower market fair is packed with vendors selling fruit, peanuts, and plenty of flowers. Customers search for the right product to both beautify their homes and bring them luck.
I hope for good fortune, health, wealth, and happiness.
This is the busiest time for our community. It's the most prosperous time for our community, and it's the most joyous time for our community. In this 2 to 3 week period, our businesses generate roughly 30% of their revenue for the entire year. So this is a really, really critical week.
And here at the flower market, this year is a special art zone where people can get an up-close look at art in action. These silkscreen prints feature 2 San Francisco icons, martial arts legend Bruce Lee and Wong Kim Ark, the man whose Supreme Court case established U.S. birthright citizenship.
We want some of the community to come and print with us too, get a feel for the process, learn about silkscreen. Silkscreen has a strong history on social justice as well, so I feel like this is a great way to spread information. So while the flower market fair centers around good fortune in the coming year, community leaders also want to remind people about those who've paved the way for a more prosperous future.
That was Mark Neal reporting. Technology is redefining shopping during Spring Festival, with AI emerging as a key tool. Nearly 1/3 of consumers are including AI toys and home robots in their carts to enhance family bonding. On the first day of the Year of the Horse, more than 130 million people tried AI-powered shopping for the first time. Nearly 4 million users aged 60 or above embraced AI shopping, drawn by the simplicity of placing orders with just a voice command. In a new trend that's giving consumption a strong boost, Beijing is expanding its retail landscape through what's called the first store economy by welcoming pioneering retail concepts. These include cultural destinations and immersive spaces. Shui visited a couple of new flagship stores in a major shopping district in the capital.
We always want to show the best part to our customers.
This busy gentleman is Leonardo Zambrino. The Michelin-starred Italian chef is cooking his original dishes for us, each with a hidden connection to China, especially Beijing culture.
That are used for the Peking duck. And we want to recreate the flavors of the Peking duck.
And these exquisite and innovative dishes constitute the Taste of Beijing culinary collection. From Louis Vuitton's first cafe in Beijing, blends classic French cuisine with local flavors. It marks the brand's strategic expansion into lifestyle spaces and its deeper foray into the Chinese market.
Louis Vuitton is the brand of the journey. Here we wanted to really give the idea that even a Western chef can focus on what is the local culture and make sure that when people come here, they understand the food.
The time-honored outdoor brand Araghchi from the U.S. is also making its debut to Chinese consumers in Sanlitun.
This is
Woolrich's first pop-up space in China. Since its launch, both customer flow and sales have exceeded expectations, which strongly confirms Chinese consumers' recognition of premium outdoor lifestyles and our value. This has laid a solid foundation for us to further cultivate the Chinese market. We chose Beijing as the first stop for 2 key reasons. First, as the capital, Beijing sets the trends in high-end consumption and contemporary lifestyles. Second, its cold winters align perfectly with our product's warmth and protective advantages. In the latter half of 2026, we plan to open our first flagship store in China, which is a crucial step for us in the market. We will design products that better meet the needs of Chinese consumers, incorporating more local elements, so that the brand's nearly 200-year heritage can become part of Chinese consumers' lifestyles.
Other consumption districts have also seen a rise for international brand openings. In the first 3 quarters of this year, Beijing will count 804 new store debuts, with the annual total expected to exceed 900.
In 2026, the year marks the beginning of China's new 5-year plan, which prioritizes boosting consumption. Beijing will embrace even greater opportunities with a renewed outlook.
That was Shui in Beijing. British and Canadian tourists can now travel to China without a visa. China expanded the waiver to include the two countries starting Tuesday. This follows the Canadian and British leaders' official visits to Beijing last month. The visa-free access was timely for travelers arriving during the Chinese New Year holiday. From a ceremonial send-off in London to a vibrant welcome in Beijing, an airline journey is turned into a cross-continental New Year celebration. Huang Yue has more.
A special lucky draw awaits passengers upon arrival. Travelers are invited to randomly pick an envelope. Inside the gift packages are tickets to the Great Wall, temple fairs, Peking opera performances, and curated holiday routes, giving international visitors an instant invitation to join the celebrations.
I like how everyone's really friendly, and the food is really great, and I love the history, so going to the Forbidden City.
We're going to Qiqihar, which is where the family is, spending a few days there, and then going to Zhangjiajie to do some sightseeing, and then Beijing and see the Summer Palace we were planning on, so it's good, and the Great Wall. And
I'm definitely going to go like a date and having a Beijing roast duck, definitely for sure, with my girlfriend.
The welcome also comes alongside new travel facilitation measures. China's Foreign Ministry announced that starting February 17, 2026, ordinary passport holders from the UK will be eligible for visa-free entry for stays of up to 30 days for tourism, business, family visits, exchanges, or transit. The policy will remain in effect through December 31st, 2026. And for many British travelers, the announcement adds extra confidence and convenience to future trips.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. I think a lot of people might be daunting thinking about going through a whole visa process just to travel to a different country. So being able to travel, I think, for 30 days without a visa will be really enticing for people from the UK to want to go and visit China for the first time.
中国驻伦敦旅游办来说哈。I believe this visa-free policy will greatly encourage more British people to visit China for tourism, business, and study, boosting people-to-people exchanges and strengthening the foundation of our bilateral ties.
Earlier at Heathrow Airport in London, passengers boarding the flight were treated to a festive send-off ceremony filled with traditional decorations and cultural elements. From departure in London to arrival in Beijing, the holiday spirit traveled with them, turning a long-haul journey into a cross-continental celebration.
Gift bags on hand, people stopping for photos, and New Year greetings echoing through the arriving hall. The first step onto Chinese soil is not just a landing, it's an invitation to celebrate.
That was Huang Yue reporting. Coming up, U.S. and Iranian delegations have held a second round of nuclear talks in Geneva.
Discover the realities and responses to our changing climate with Climate Watch. Uncover critical issues such as the Masai Mara's disrupted wildebeest migration and the drop in the Panama Canal's water levels. Delve into solutions for a sustainable future. Tune in to Climate Watch on your favorite podcast platform. Become more eco-conscious and take action to protect our planet.
Iranian and U.S. delegations have held a second round of indirect talks in Geneva. Iran and Oman's foreign ministers have met ahead of the talks to discuss nuclear issues and sanctions relief. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi heads Tehran's delegation. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is leading the U.S. side. Oman hosted the first round of indirect talks this month. Araghchi also met with International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps carried out drills in the Strait of Hormuz as a second U.S. aircraft carrier heads toward the region. Washington's threatened military action if a nuclear deal is not reached. Tehran said it'll not back down. Tony Waterman has more.
Speedboats on the water and missiles fired from land. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps conducting drills they call smart control of Hormuz Strait, a show of strength as the U.S. flexes its own military muscle nearby. Satellite images show an American aircraft carrier about 240 kilometers off Oman's coast, with a second, much larger one on the way. Iran has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz if it is attacked, a move that would restrict a fifth of global oil flows and send crude prices soaring. The drills come hours ahead of a fresh round of high-stakes talks between Iran and the U.S. in Geneva, which are being mediated by Oman on Tuesday. Iran's top diplomat, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, says he hopes to achieve a fair and equitable deal. The U.S. wants Iran to end its nuclear program and is pushing for strict limits on Tehran's ballistic missile stockpile. Washington is also demanding Iran cease financial and military support for regional proxy groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. Tehran is pushing back. It wants to limit talks to just its nuclear program, telling the BBC over the weekend that it's willing to compromise if the U.S. lifts sanctions. And for the first time, an economic component is being dangled in front of U.S. President Donald Trump. Tehran says oil and gas agreements, mining investments, and even aircraft purchases are included in the talks. Those economic incentives weren't a part of the original 2015 nuclear deal. Adding them is a strategic move by Tehran. President Trump, after all, likes to cut deals with big flashy investments attached. Something that could help secure an agreement and keep that massive military buildup in the Arabian Sea at bay.
That was Tony Waterman on tensions in the Middle East. Seher Sarami spoke with Assistant Professor Sasan Karimi at the Faculty of World Studies, University of Tehran. The scholar said the progress of nuclear talks is heavily dependent on realistic expectations and trust, which he believes are in short supply.
Professor, how significant is the second round of talks between the U.S. and Iran?
I think the second or third or fourth or whatever number of rounds of the negotiation between Iran and the United States matter because of the content, not because of the numbers. Iran is not in a hurry. I think United States is better not to be in a hurry either. If the United States want to have not a premature deal, it is better to not to be over-demanding in the beginning, because both sides know the positions of the other party, and it is not the time to being over-demanding or not realistic. Both sides and also other players need to put their feet on the ground and then go forward.
Professor, why do you think this time Geneva was chosen as a venue of negotiations? Does it really matter?
It matters. Sometimes the mediator matters. Omanis are very good in mediation, but geographically they are not in the middle. Oman is the host of this round of negotiations also, but in Geneva. Geneva is a good place because it is a place for European base of the United Nations. So this is some sort of neutrality. Geographically, Europe is in the middle, so it's not that much difficult for also Americans to come every week.
What are the main obstacles to reaching a deal?
The main obstacle is the mistrust, the mutual mistrust. We know we cannot forget that Iran witnessed a kind of illegal withdrawal from the United States of Donald Trump the first time, from the JCPOA, which was the most optimum deal, only because of the internal competition between Obama and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump wanted a deal to be a Trump deal, not a JCPOA with a better terms for the United States, etc. So politically and psychologically, it can be understandable, but from Iranian point of view, it is not, a valid and reliable party to be able to talk with in a constructive or trustful way. From the United States also, they have their own considerations. Technical obstacle is being over-demanding. I think that in order to reach a deal, an agreement, even a political agreement, both sides need to come to the earth. Iran should not stick to the exact terms of JCPOA. The United States should not also stick to its primary positions.
That was Professor Sasan Karimi with his take on the main hurdles in Iran-U.S. nuclear discussions. The Swiss Foreign Ministry says the new round of talks among Russia, the United States, and Ukraine will be held behind closed doors. The trilateral talks are scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday in Geneva. Since January of this year, representatives of the three countries have held 2 rounds of talks in Abu Dhabi. The U.S. Justice Department's under renewed pressure over the scandal surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. Lawmakers doubt if all records related to the convicted sex offender have been released. The full extent of the globally connected financier's influence network continues to emerge. And we get more from Owen Fairclough in Washington.
The U.S. Department of Justice thinks it's done with Jeffrey Epstein. Over the weekend, Attorney General Pam Bondi shared a memo with lawmakers stating all documents related to the financier had been released. The update includes a list of some 300 public figures, including those central to the child sex abuse scandal, such as US President Donald Trump and British Royal Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But also those seemingly unrelated, including long-dead figures such as Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe.
This cover-up spans decades.
And even some Republican lawmakers think the Department of Justice is withholding information despite releasing 3 million Epstein documents last month.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
They include Congressman Thomas Massie, who rounded on Bondi during a congressional hearing last week for releasing the names of Epstein's sexual abuse victims in the files, while the names of some associates were redacted.
They're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known.
And if the Epstein case is consuming US politics, it continues to reverberate around the world. Paris police on Monday searched the Arab World Institute as part of its inquiry into Epstein's relationship with the organization's former head Jack Lang, who also served as culture minister. Both Norwegian and British authorities are now investigating prominent political figures, while the scandal has also implicated members of both countries' royal families. Back in the US, both former President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary, who lost the 2016 presidential election to Trump, are preparing to testify behind closed doors next week over their relationship with Epstein.
I've called for, many, many years for everything to be put out there so people can not only see what is in them, but also, if appropriate, hold people accountable. We'll see what happens.
Both have denied any wrongdoing.
That was Owen Fairclough on the progress of the Epstein investigations. U.S. police say a shooting at a Rhode Island ice rink left 3 people dead, including the suspect, and 3 others injured. A youth hockey game had been scheduled at the venue. The shooting occurred Monday afternoon at the arena in Pawtucket. Police say the incident appeared to be targeted and may have stemmed from a family dispute. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says his government will not repatriate 34 women and children in Syria with alleged Islamic State ties.
We have a very firm view that we won't be providing assistance or repatriation. Of course, Australian law applies and there are obligations that Australian officials have, but we want to make it clear as well, as we have to the people involved, that if there are any breaches of the law, then they will face the full force of the Australian law.
Syrian authorities blocked the group on Monday after they left a camp for people with alleged Islamic State links. More than 500,000 displaced people are living in dire conditions in Tawila camp in Sudan's war-torn Darfur region. Many fled escalating violence in El Fasher, where thousands died during fighting last year. UNICEF spokesperson Eva Hine says a 17-year-old Doha walked for 3 days to reach safety after food supplies ran out and schools and health services shut down.
This girl caught our eye because she was smiling, and she so desperately wanted to speak English. And I'm always so struck when I see this in the middle of something that is very difficult and there's hardship all around, that you see someone who is beaming. Oftentimes when the violence starts and people are forced to flee, it is very chaotic many times and very scary. And some of the children are separated from the adults that they are moving together with.
UNICEF delivers healthcare, nutrition, and child-friendly spaces to help traumatized children. The agency also identifies separated children, traces their families, and reunites them. But with 34 million people in need nationwide and funding shrinking, aid agencies struggle to meet growing demand. Coming up, CMG's Spring Festival Gala has extended its international reach.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
Online data shows that China's Spring Festival box office has topped $1 billion yuan, or roughly $144 million as of Tuesday afternoon. According to ticketing platform Maoyan, racing comedy Pegasus 3 leads the pack, followed by Zhang Yimou's spy thriller Scare Out. Chinese authorities are offering at least 1.2 billion yuan in subsidies throughout the year to attract moviegoers. China Media Group's Spring Festival Galas extended its worldwide reach and viewership on new media platforms. Monday's 4-hour annual gala harnessed mobile apps and social media platforms to reach a cumulative total of 677 million users and 13.5 billion views on new media platforms. The gala, broadcast live from Beijing and 4 other Chinese cities, aired on nearly 4,000 media outlets overseas, an increase of almost 30% from a year ago. The event blended CMG's state-of-the-art technology and centuries of cultural heritage. Chinese-made humanoid robots joined performers in numbers ranging from martial arts to sketch comedy. China's asset management industry posted strong growth in 2025, underscoring a broader shift toward more institutionalized and professional investment management. A report by the People's Bank of China shows that total assets under management rose over 13% to reach 120 trillion yuan last year, roughly $17 trillion. Newly added funds mainly flowed into interbank deposits and certificates of deposit. The central bank said residents will have a broader range of investment choices as China's financial markets continue to deepen. Looking at sports, and freestyle skier Gu Ailing has won another silver medal for China at the Milano-Cortina Winter Olympic Games in women's big air this time. This was her second silver medal in Italy after slopestyle. Ken Brown brings us up to date with action from the Chinese athletes.
A second silver medal of the Games for Ailing Gu. She took silver in the slopestyle. Now she has another silver in the freestyle ski big air. She brought out the big guns and finished a fraction behind Canada's Megan Oldham. Gu brought out her first run, was really impressive, a 14.40. That's 4 full 360-degree rotations in the air. Her second run, not so great, didn't really execute there, had to go big on the third, and did a double 12 with a blunt grab. All smiles at the bottom of the slope, but just missed out on the gold medal there. That's still an incredible achievement when you consider that she hasn't even competed in that event since Beijing 2022 when she won gold. And don't forget either that she has another chance in the half pipe, I should say. The Wednesday qualifiers will come up on Wednesday, and we'll see the final of that one on Saturday. Now, we've also just seen the end of the figure skating pairs event. Han Tong and Sui Wenjing, Chinese defending champions, they put up a spirited defense of their gold medal there, but only could finish in 5th place. Still pretty good considering Han is 33, Sui is 30, and they only came out of retirement a year ago. The world champions Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara of Japan, they will take home gold.
That was Ken Brown in Milan. Tyson Fury says he's coming out of retirement again to make boxing great again, ahead of his April bout with Arslanbek Makhmudov in London.
I feel fresh, I feel good, and if I was on a decline, I'd say it. I'd be the first to say, you know what, I don't think I've got it no more, and I won't box, but I don't feel as if I've lost anything. I feel like I'm in my prime still. I feel fast, I feel good moving, I feel everything's really good.
Fury insists the sport's declined since his 5th retirement more than a year ago. He hasn't fought since December 2024. Beijing down to -1 this evening. It's sunny with a high of 11 on Wednesday. Shanghai's cloudy overnight and down to 3, cloudy and 13 tomorrow. Chongqing will be overcast and 10 degrees, turning to cloudy and 14. Nanchang's clear overnight and +3. That becomes cloudy and 14 on Wednesday. Lhasa will be sunny tonight with a low of -5. It's then sunny and 13. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad's 10 this evening. It's sunny and 23 on Wednesday. Vientiane's down to 20 degrees and then cloudy and 32. Phnom Penh's 24 overnight. then cloudy and 35 degrees Celsius. And that's it for this holiday edition of the Beijing Hour. Up next, our special series tracing the legacy of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. Making news today, New Year's Day in China, transport authorities say people in the country have already made over 3.5 billion trips since the start of the Spring Festival travel rush. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
Shh, listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. And right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Ever wondered what's actually going on in Africa through the perspective of an African? How are things really going between China and Africa? What's the narrative of this relationship? Well, get a perspective with China-Africa Talk. Hear from African diplomats, entrepreneurs, academics, Chinese natives, and more. Get on our wavelength every week to find out what's real with China-Africa Talk. Find us on your favorite podcast. We'll see you there.
Four years after the Beijing Winter Olympics, elite athletes and a new generation of young players continue to shape the ice hockey legacy. Sideline story host Yang Guang explores how Beijing 2022 sparked a surge in youth participation and how training systems, schools, and families are working together to grow the sport's future.
In February 2022, Beijing presented a story of ice hockey to the world. It was a narrative of dazzling arenas, historic firsts, and the nation stepping onto the global winter sports stage with determination. That story had a clear beginning, middle, and end. But 4 years later, in those same arenas now buzzing with a different kind of energy, a quieter, deeper, and ultimately more important story is being written. This story has no closing ceremony. Its authors are not veteran athletes, but children, some as young as 8 or 9. Their skates now trace paths on the exact ice where Olympic athletes battled. This is the story of inheritance, of a torch passed to a new generation. This is a journey into the heart of the post-Olympic legacy, told through the voices of those who live it every day, the children of Beijing's ice rinks. I was standing at the center spot of the main rink at the Wukesong Ice Sports Center in Beijing. It served as an ice hockey training venue during the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. Now it's the arena for the Beijing Teenage Ice Hockey League. The roars from 4 years ago have been replaced by the focused shouts of drills, the encouraging yells of parents, and the high-pitched laughter of children. Liu Zhaohe is a member of the U12 club based in Beijing.
I started playing ice hockey around 2019 when I was about 5 years old. I felt this sport was very intense and competitive, and I met a lot of friends through it. We could interact and learn from each other.
Liu's ice hockey journey began after Beijing won the bid to host the 2022 Winter Olympics.
Has the honor to announce the host city of the Olympic Winter Games 2022. Beijing!
It was a time when China started to promote winter sports across the country. Ice hockey began to enter primary schools, giving many kids their first touch of the puck and stick.
There was an ice rink at our school, and I played my very first ice hockey game there with the friends I first started out with. That was around January or February 2020. I was absolutely thrilled. I had never played before and was eagerly looking forward to it.
7 years on, Liu has grown into an ice hockey talent, the scoring machine and absolute backbone of his club. He's seen as one of the best players in his age group in the city and has been selected for the Beijing Municipality U12 team. With his club, he won the national championship last year. Xu Boyan is Liu Zhaohe's best bud within the club. They started playing ice hockey at similar ages. But for Xu, what helped make up his mind to play the sport was the Beijing Winter Olympics.
I watched the game between China and the USA. I wanted to be a goalie then, but I thought it was easy to get hurt. I saw China's goalie. He was very focused, very calm. It made me think this sport could inspire teamwork. I wanted to be part of it.
The Beijing Winter Olympics were not a televised abstraction for these children. They were a local event, a source of civic pride, and for many, a profound personal revelation. The world's best played in their backyard, and in doing so, made improbable seem attainable. For a thoughtful boy now playing defense, the Olympics provided a masterclass in composure and calculation. Xu didn't just see a goalie, he saw a mindset, focus and calm under immense pressure. He then made a strategic decision, choosing defense over goal. The Olympics became a practical guidebook. For Liu, the Games were a gateway to a vast global ice hockey universe. His fascination quickly evolved from the Olympic tournament to the day-to-day drama of the world's premier professional league, the NHL.
I watched every game during Beijing 2022. Then I started to watch the NHL. I really liked the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was really good at free kicks. I usually watch their games on an app.
Beijing 2022 ignited an ice hockey enthusiasm in China. More exposure means more interest in participation. With more kids involved in the sport, the charm of ice hockey became infectious to children, including girls like 11-year-old Xu Mengchen.
Once, when I was out with my mom, we saw people playing ice hockey, and I thought it looked really cool. That's when I wanted to start training. Then I found goaltender is the last line of defense for the team. I felt goaltenders play a very important role on the team, so I wanted to learn how to be one.
For young girls like 10-year-old Sha Menghan, the Olympics served a different, equally vital purpose: validation and visibility. In a sport historically dominated by boys, the presence of women's teams on the Olympic stage encouraged her and many others.
Since I started learning to skate, the last 2 years there have been more girls. Before, it was almost all boys. Recently, with the promotion of ice and snow sports, girls from all over Beijing have formed several teams to play games.
The policy jargon of promotion of ice and snow sports translates in her world into concrete reality. More teammates, more opponents, more games, and a stronger sense of belonging. The Olympic flame ignited a national policy, and that policy in turn built the ecosystem that now supports the children's dream. Beijing established its Youth Ice Hockey League in 2008 when the city hosted the Summer Olympics. It marked the first non-governmental ice hockey league in China. Initially, only 4 teams with about 60 participants took part. Now the club league has grown to include 183 teams from 28 clubs across Beijing, with nearly 3,000 young players participating. The competition spans 6 months and features nearly 1,200 matches ranging from U8 to U18 competition groups. No ecosystem of youth sports, especially one as demanding as ice hockey, exists without the families. In the stands of the Ukesong Ice Sports Center, I found a microcosm of quiet dedication, calculated hope, and the unique anxieties of the Chinese parenting experience in the 2020s. I spoke with Liu Bin, father of Liu Zhaohe, on the ice. Their journey into ice hockey parenthood predated the Olympics, but was irrevocably accelerated by the Games.
The Winter Olympics held a huge appeal for him. He had only been playing hockey for a few weeks back then and learned that besides the Summer Olympics, there was also a Winter Olympics, which features ice sports. So he was really looking forward to it. Plus, Team China was participating and all the top teams from around the world were coming to Beijing. He was super excited even before it started. During the Olympics, he checked the schedule. China was in a group with the USA, Canada, and Germany, I think. He made sure to note the game times so he wouldn't miss any match. He was really exciting. They were all top-level athletes, so it left a really deep impression on him as a kid.
Zhang Yang, the father of ice hockey kid Zhang Zimo, echoes the impact of the Winter Olympics on his child's choice to play ice hockey.
During the Winter Olympics, we were completely absorbed. If we couldn't watch the live broadcast of the ice hockey matches, we'd watch the recap. Our kid would watch the games on TV while holding a stick and practicing right at home. It really sparked something in him. He brought it up himself that he wanted to play ice hockey.
A child's ice hockey journey extends beyond matches. Behind the scenes, countless hours are spent in training of different formats. It is a family-wide enterprise, a project demanding total investment, logistical, financial, temporal, and emotional. Liu Zhaohe's father sketches a portrait of the relentless daily symphony required to keep the dream alive.
Our training schedule basically only allows one rest day per week. The rest of the time, we're on the ice, either in one-on-one sessions or group classes. Weekends are mostly for competitions. We train quite a lot, and it's really demanding. He has to finish school, complete his homework, sometimes even doing it at the rink, and then hit the ice. By the time he gets home, it's often 9 or 10 p.m., and after washing up, he goes straight to bed, only to wake up early the next day to attend school. Day after day, it's the same routine. It's truly tough on him.
This is a life of constant motion, where family meals are planned around practice schedules, and the vacations are shaped by tournament calendars. The financial burden is also significant, encompassing equipment that is outgrown yearly, expensive ice time, and specialized coaching fees. Parents rationalize this not merely as a sports investment, but as an investment in character building, discipline, and resilience.
First, I believe it's the team environment that gives him a strong sense of teamwork and collaboration. There is understanding the rules, learning to operate within a structured framework. And beyond that is the mental resilience built through countless failures. He might cry after a loss, but the next day he puts his skates back on and returns to training. Learning how to face setbacks, how to view failure in a healthy way, I feel these experiences make him mentally more mature than many of his peers.
Zhang Yang says the benefits go beyond the mental side of things.
Physically, his fitness has improved significantly. He rarely falls ill, and even if he does, a good night's sleep usually helps him recover quickly. I think this is a wonderful development, as his body is growing strong and healthy.
The journey for these ice hockey kids has begun, but is far from taking off. Could the road continue, or where does it end? This committed path marches towards a formidable systemic cliff edge, the intense, all-consuming pressure of China's secondary education system. The academic workload escalates dramatically at the middle school level. This middle school cliff forces brutal either-or choice for many families. prioritize academics and scale back ice hockey to a hobby, or commit to the sport and risk falling behind in the hyper-competitive academic race. Zimo's mother, Kang Guo, expressed her concerns.
肯定是要先完成学业的情况下，然后
Now, the top priority is definitely completing his schoolwork, finishing the tasks assigned by his teachers, and making time to do the homework at home. I'm not saying he must rank at the top of his class or anything like that, but the basics have to be done well. Only after that can he focus on ice hockey. If his academic performance starts slipping, then hockey has to take a backseat.
This is the central tension. The Olympics created a world-class starting line, but the race course, for many, still seems to end abruptly. For families whose children show elite potential and the dream of high-level play, the solution often points away from China, creating a poignant and complex paradox.
所以我们等明年就准备要去出国。
We're planning to go abroad next year to find a school overseas and join a club so he can continue pursuing ice hockey. The reality in China is that academics are always the top priority for parents. As children grow older, many parents start to see that their kids might not achieve significant breakthroughs in ice hockey, and they gradually give up the sport. As a result, the number of young players follows a parabolic curve, rising to a peak and then declining. And that makes it difficult to maintain high-quality competition consistently. To be honest, this isn't just an issue in ice hockey. It reflects the broader landscape of youth sports in China.
这是中国整个的体育的一个现状。
Amidst the grueling practices, the physical sacrifices, the logistical complexities, and the systemic hurdles, ice hockey has brought equal joy to the parents.
以孩子为荣。
I am truly proud of my child. The training is really tough, and it hurts to see him go through it. But going through that effort, scoring a goal, and finally winning the match, that kind of joy is hard to describe in words. It's something no other happiness can replace. It's not like buying him a toy or a pair of shoes. That kind of joy is simple. This joy comes from deep within the heart.
那种喜悦是发自内心，而且是那种成就感。
其实你那次比赛，我觉得还有一个终身难忘的一个镜头。
The national final he played holds an unforgettable moment for me. After his mistake allowed the opponents to tie the score, it came down to a penalty shootout to decide the winner. He took the final shot, stepping up under tremendous pressure, and he scored. After securing the win, he let out a roar, a full-hearted, arena-shaking roar. In that moment, you could see in his eyes a child's raw release of pressure. I think for a young kid to experience a moment like that is truly priceless.
无比珍贵。
Between the vision of a child and the reality of a skilled player stands the coach. The role of the coach has evolved from mere instructor to that of a cultural translator, bridging the gap between rapidly imported infrastructure and deeply rooted local sporting habits. To understand this, I spent an afternoon with Coach Zhang Lu Dao, a man whose own life mirrors the modern journey of Chinese ice hockey. A former speed skater from the northeastern province of Heilongjiang, he switched to ice hockey and later moved into coaching, just as the Olympic wave began to crest in Beijing.
Our ice hockey national team at the Beijing Winter Olympics was assembled temporarily. Our talent pipeline has historically been relatively thin. Back then, the level of the kids and the number of teams weren't very high. But after about 5 years of running my program, a group of promising young players began to emerge. What I launched was an off-ice hockey training program, because nearly half of an ice hockey player's technical skills need to be developed off the ice. Things like stick handling, shooting, body coordination, and agility drills are all practiced on land.
As an ice hockey coach, Zhang witnessed firsthand the winter sports boom in Beijing around the Winter Olympics, and along the way, the growth of ice hockey among teenagers. Zhang pinpointed a fascinating divergence in development, directly observable in his young charges. The Winter Olympics not only boosted infrastructure investment in ice hockey, but an entire ecosystem that covers different aspects of the game.
北京是在全国范围内青少年这一块是领先东北的。
For young players, Beijing is currently leading in youth development nationwide. Children in the traditionally ice hockey-strong Northeast region don't have access to the kind of league environment we have here. The traditional sports school training system in the old system offered limited pathways and attracted fewer participants. Additionally, most coaches in the Northeast tend to be older, whereas many of the younger, more energetic coaches are now working in clubs across Beijing. High-level coaching resources, including coaches from Russia, Canada, Finland, and Sweden, are concentrated in Beijing, giving the city a clear advantage in this area.
And the efforts pay off.
高等的教练带动这些孩子战术意识啊、团队配合呀、和技术能力啊。
With guidance from these high-level coaches, the skill level of children in Beijing's league environment is quite strong. Their tactical awareness, teamwork, and technical abilities have improved significantly. In comparison, Chinese children around ages 8 to 10 have stronger individual skills than those of Russian children of the same age. We can see that through exchange matches.
Here, he paused. While the level of ice hockey kids has been enhanced, Zhang noticed a decline in the number of new children participating in the sport.
从去年到今年，这两个联赛呢。
From last year to this year, both leagues have gradually noticed fewer children participating. This is likely related to the pandemic and declining birth rates. Additionally, there are cost factors. Operating expenses for ice rinks have increased, leading to a corresponding rise in training fees. For example, back in 2016 or 17, the cost for one-on-one training was around 400 RMB per hour. Now it's probably between 600 and 700 RMB per hour. The financial burden on parents has become relatively heavier.
The Winter Olympics were like a magnet drawing children's attention to ice hockey. The time after the Games is like a filter, screening who truly loves the sport and wishes for career development in it. Zhang says it's important to lower the threshold of ice hockey participation as operational costs of ice rinks without government support can be quite a burden for ice hockey training programs like his. The alternative he suggests is inline roller hockey, which doesn't need ice ground to play but is quite similar to ice hockey.
因为轮滑球、直排轮滑球在国外开展的很普遍了。
Inline roller hockey is very popular abroad. Ice hockey has high costs and barriers to entry, while inline roller hockey is much more affordable, perhaps only a quarter or a third of the training cost of ice hockey. The two sports are closely related, with similar technical movements, so skilled inline roller hockey players naturally move to the ice. The equipment for inline roller hockey is almost identical to that of ice hockey. Just swap the skates for rollerblades. This could be a powerful way to grow the sport from the ground up.
给个球打起来兴趣比较高一点。
Guys, this station, no fast, left.
The post-Olympic landscape in China has attracted a wave of international expertise, primarily from traditional ice hockey powers like Russia. These coaches provide a crucial external mirror, reflecting both the potential and the distinct challenges of the Chinese system. Zhang Ludao's program includes Russian coach Safronov Yevgeny, who has stayed in Beijing for 8 years training ice hockey teenagers. He began his journey in China also because of the Winter Olympics.
Но это было до пандемии в 2017 году.
In 2017, I was interested in coming here to see what ice hockey was like, how developed it was, and how I could help with it. It was before the Winter Olympics. There was a surge in the development of winter sports in China.
After years of training Chinese kids, Yevgeny identifies a fundamental structural difference in training philosophy that has deep implications of how the game is understood collectively.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Но это очень долгая тема для.
They have good individual potential. Many skate well, handle the puck nicely, but they lack team play experience. In Russia, kids train as a team 5, sometimes 6 days a week. Here, the model is often reversed. A child may have 3 or 4 private lessons with a skill coach, working on individual techniques. Then they come to one-team practice. The private lesson is the priority. The team practice is the supplement. This is backward for a team sport.
His prescription for progress emphasizes immersive, competitive experience over isolated, technical instruction.
They need to play more, not just to practice. Real, long competitive games. Tournaments here can be very short, a few games over a weekend. In Russia, a young tournament is an event. You live it for days. They also need to see more, not just on screens. They need to travel to see how teams in other countries play, how they interact, how they practice. This builds an ice hockey culture, not just the skills.
Coach Yevgeny's insights frame the journey ahead, moving from building excellent individual players to cultivating a sophisticated, collective ice hockey intelligence and a deep-rooted culture around the game. 4 years after the extinguishing of the Olympic cauldron, the truest legacy of Beijing 2022 is not found in static economic reports or tourism statistics. It is alive and dynamic. It is in the pre-dawn scrape of skates being sharpened, in the heated, strategic debate between 12-year-olds analyzing the power play setup. The Olympic flame was a brilliant temporary beacon, but in its wake, it ignited a different kind of fire, a slower burning, more enduring flame of belief within a generation. These children carry that belief. When they look up into the vast, empty stands of an Olympic arena during a Tuesday afternoon practice, they don't see emptiness. They see possibility. They are the living, breathing bridge between the historic spectacle of 2022 and the promise of the games yet to be played in 2030, 2034, and beyond.
I want to play better, get to the elite level, and see if I can keep training to make the women's team.
I want to be able to play better in the future, be braver, understand teamwork more, and eventually make the Chinese women's national team.
My dream is to wear the Chinese national team jersey and compete in the Winter Olympics.
I want to make China stronger.
From epic tales of mystery and magic to accounts of battle and empire, from the verses of ancient poets to the masterpieces of our times, A Light on Literature brings to life China's literary heritage and a look at the world in a new light.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in a time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio